This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have the top 16 deck list for the PPG Ultimate Cup that happened this past weekend. There were about 450 players, 8 rounds, and EX3 was legal, not that you can really tell by this pie chart. It's a really BT9 looking pie chart for this top 16 here. But before we jump into it, if you guys do appreciate the video and all of the compilation and everything, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. This document is in the description as well if you guys want to click the individual deck list and if you want anything from that. So again, thank you to PPG for running the event and also for publishing these lists so I can go over them with you guys today. But going into this top 16, we do have 4 MetalGaruru X, which is a slightly smaller pie slice than we've kind of been seeing for the past couple of weeks, which is really interesting. 2 WarGreymon X, with one of them getting first place, the other one getting third. 2 Mastemons, 2 security controls, 2 armors, 1 yellow hybrid, 1 Imperialdramon, 1 Gallantmon, and a Commandramon as well. So really interesting on this top 16 breakdown. It does not look like EX3 was legal for this event just because there's nothing specifically new for this event. I'd say the 2 that got the boost the most are probably the Gallantmon and the Commandramon, just because there are more pieces that were released in EX3. But it is really curious here, and it's hard to say if it's just a kind of thing where people aren't using as much EX3 stuff because it's still new. They're trying to find out their ratios. They're not comfortable for a 500-person event for this, but it is interesting again to just see. Literally, like, this is all BT9 archetypes for this top 16 here. But that is going to be it for the overview. We're going to go over the individual decks, starting with William Bass's first place WarGreymon X. Starting off, we have William's first place WarGreymon X deck list, and I'm going to keep saying this for probably the remainder of this video, but this is a very, very BT9 looking list. The only BT10 card we have is the Omnimon X, which is a really great card for this list, being able to get some great hits onto it, being able to get some board destruction as well as some guaranteed hits and security. Being able to look at your opponent's security in general is just a fantastically great move for a deck like this. So really strong there, but just otherwise just they've really just solid, I guess, Agumon kind of build for this format and for this deck. So we do have like the MetalGaruru package, so we're using some of the EX1, which lets you delete something with 4K or less on attack, but also inheritable, gains piercing, which is nice. We have the Altruist mode, which lets you delete something 5K or less if you have a Tamer in play, which sometimes happen. And also have that extra bit of protection if you don't see your like level 4 chain for that there. With the Greymon X, we have some ties, we have the Red Mem boost, we have the X antibody WarGrey, but just really just standard looking list again for WarGreymon X, which just means that William probably had a really good day for this and just a strong player overall. So congrats to William for their first place with this list here. And moving on to our second place list, it is this yellow hybrid, which again, I thought this archetype was dead. You guys probably thought it was dead. It's gotten like 3 different hits. We have specifically the Jet Sylphimon is at 1 now. The Sunrise Buster is also at 1 now. Death X is probably going to be hit eventually because it's just in most decks right now. It is silly how flexible it is. So, but this is a really unique deck, and this is Mohamed. I didn't say that earlier. This is his list for second place, and just a really interesting list. So it does look like, I would say, traditional yellow hybrid list in the fact that you have a couple rookies choosing to do the Lotmon package with the Suchong Wong as well, so you can play Lotmons for free. And then if you have 3 refused security cards, you get to draw 1 at the start of your turn, which is nice. And then it has like your hybrids as you expect, some rapid mons, which is not too surprising for a list like this. Some Rise Greymons, 1 Jet Sophie because you can't run more than that, and then some Venusmon. Newest card for this, it's a BT10 card, and it's very, very strong for us, being able to give everything security attack -1, as well as having this great effect to preventing when attacking and when digivolving effects for the next turn, essentially, which is pretty much what this says, which is great for us. A single WarGrey for, I guess, some aggressive and some, if you need to set your securities to a certain number. Death Xmon, because again, it's broken. Suzanamon, because you're playing enough cards. And if this deck goes into like late game, you can recycle your cards, which is great, so you don't kind of deck yourself out. We also have, I don't know how to say this correctly, but essentially this is like a mono yellow version of Chaos Degradation, just because if you have 3 or fewer security cards, place one of your opponent's Digimon face down on top of their security stack, which is quite nice there. and then just kind of the tamer lineup that you can expect. Some TKs, some TK Karis, some Zoes, some Tai Karis, and also the Suchong Wan, who we talked about earlier. But really solid looking list, and it is really interesting to see that we do have like this combination yellow hybrid WarGreymon deck still being viable. I think that's cool, and it's yeah, again, really cool that it did get second place. So congrats to Mohamed there for their finish. And next up, we have a fourth place MetalGaruru X, and this is probably the longest it's been since I've had to talk about MetalGaruru X in a top 16 in a minute. This is Paul Stetson's list. He got fourth place, top placing MetalGarurumon list for the day. And I don't really have a lot to say about this archetype that I haven't already. It's very, very strong. I don't have anything more than that. Most of these lists are pretty standard because the lines are really standard. I think that probably if I was to hit something, WarGreymon is probably going to get hit. Limit this to one because there's other WarGurus that you can use to fill its spot. And this card by itself just kind of wins a lot of games, which feels kind of bad for where we're at. That's my opinion. If yours opinion is different, go for it. But congrats to Paul for their fourth place finish. Even though the deck is pretty much understood of how you build it and how you run it, you do have to be a great player to get this top 16, and Paul definitely did that. So congrats to Paul there. Next up, we have our sixth place list, and this is Victor Pham's list, and a very, very chunky list. It's going to be pretty much like, there's just so many ding dang one-ofs in here. We have like a one of Candlemon, a one of Chaos Mode, a one of Nidhoggmon, a one off Fall Down, a one off Creepymon, Death reinforcing that one's a one of. That's not too surprising. Underworld's Call, a Calling from Darkness. Also, you can only run one. And then whatever yellow tamer you're kind of feeling for. This is really just a box of tools for kind of this kind of thing, which is really interesting. So many options that you can be running, and so many that you can be playing. You are also playing the Ordinimon at one as well. So DNA Digivolving, recovering, and then also this just kind of stays around while it stays around. So I don't know. There's just a lot of mini interactions with a lot of these cards. I don't know how consistent you can be with those, and you're just kind of seeing which interactions you do see instead of playing into probably one of interactions. But really interesting to see that Mastemon is good. I do really like Mastemon and what it does, and since the format slowed down a little bit, I think it's something that Mastemon can really thrive in this format as well. And since we did get two in this top 16, so I don't know, really cool to see there. Congrats again to Victor for their finish. You probably have a better way to explain all these one of madnesses, but I don't, so we're just going to go to the next one. So again, congrats to Victor. And next up we have Huyhn's 7th place Imperialdramon. And I don't have much more to say about this guy besides that sometimes Imperialdramon just gets her done. It's great for what it is, and the ratios for these cards are kind of bonkers too, because they're only playing 2 of the Dragon mode and 1 of the Fighter mode. So assumedly you're just super duper banking on seeing this XVmon and going into your Powdramon and just doing 2 swings at jamming, getting some damage in, just hoping it sticks and your opponent doesn't have a crackback for you. So it can work, definitely. There's some cool tools, including like the Parasaurmon, which is a Digivolve or you can hardcast for 3, so you can do your plays there. The Caesarmon for this just says jamming, which is great, especially since you're running 4 of Labramons to gain the memory for you. You have the Vmons to gain memory. You have the Searchers on play, the Lobomon, and just kind of everything else. And Megadeth is still a great card in this format right now, especially since like we don't have as many cards and decks that traditionally can't get around it. Like Alphamon isn't in the format anymore, so Megadeth is really strong against that. And all this is just Blue's got a lot of good options in general. So I'm a little surprised Imperialdramon got top 16, but not too bad. It's always like a deck that can high roll if you need to, and if it's been high rolling all day, you kind of get there. So congrats to Hien for their finish there. And next up is the 9th place Gallantmon run by Angel Gomez. You guys are probably just skipping to this part of the video. I know, I can see the analytics. I'm seeing you right now to see a Gallantmon in this top 16. There was some additional things that are from EX3, specifically that were included in this deck. It is the WarGreymon here, and this is just a solid card for this deck in general. It pretty much replaces the WarGreymon in the fact that this lets you just play your Tamer for free, your Tocado. So when Digivolving trash the top 3, both players' decks, then if either player has 5 or more cards in the trash, play 1 Guilmon or Tocado from your hand or trash without paying the cost. So That's just fantastic for what you're doing. It sets up your plays for also your Gallantmons as well. And then again, just the fact that this card is also just named WarGreymon is all you really need for this deck, which is great. So you just have your standard chain. We have some Guilmons with an X antibody and a Gunimon, then the Growls with the X. And I will say, like, these are some really, I wouldn't say aggressive. These are very specific ratios. A lot of 3-ofs, not a lot of 4-ofs. Not even 4 of the Takado, which is really interesting there. 2 Gaia Forces, which I would say is not standard in this format, but it's there. Solarmon, I think players can't reduce play cost, which is pretty strong in this. And then also 2 Crimson modes as well as the Omni X. Since you are playing the X antibody as well, which not a lot of Gallantmons, based on my looking, have been playing this card, but a lot of them also have not been getting top 16, so that could be one of the deciding points there. But really cool to see that. I know just having new cards in your archetype means that you will want to re-explore it. I do think like this workaround one in general, like this 5 cost is really the best card that this deck has gotten in a long time. So I'm not surprised people are trying to look into it again, and it's just it's what the deck needed. This should have been an EX2. I'm gonna say it. So, anyways, congrats to Angel there on their 9th place finish. And moving on, we do have our 10th place Commandramon. And Commandramon was just a deck that was already kind of doing pretty well in the BT10 meta and the BT9 meta, and so it got some new tools, it got some new support. Honestly, I think this deck is going to be seeing more play in the next couple of weeks, just because people are trying to figure out the ratios and what to use with the new stuff, with the old stuff. Just because you got new stuff doesn't mean you have to use it, but some of the stuff I think is very strong. The Commandramon, just having another rookie named Commandramon already is great. This could do nothing, and you'd still be running it, and you'd still be very happy for the inclusion of this in your deck. We do have the Sealsdramon, which has jamming, but also gives other things rush based on their inheritive. We have the Tankdramon, which when digivolving your top 3, play Digimon with Deed Brigade cost of 5 or less. So if you have Sealsdramon, you go into Tankdramon, Digivolve, you get to play one for free, and then that will have Rush as long as it keeps your turn, which is great. The inherited effect of this also, when one of your Digimon with Deed Brigade attacks, reveal the top 2, you can play Commandramon. Among them, play them without paying the cost. So again, so you can go into like your bigger boy, you swing with it when attacking effect. Which can be just essentially just when attacking on this guy, essentially, right? But you swing with it, you play another thing for free, and you have the Sealsdramon, that will get jamming. So there's just like a lot of cool little rush attacks you get for this. The new Darkdramon is really neat too. And even just digivolving for 3 into the old one and then still swinging and get the effects from that there, I think is strong. You also on color for Death Xmon, so why not? Ultimate Flare is great. Pride Memories Boost is great. Izzy is fantastic, and Kazu as well. So this is the list. I think this is really cool. I think it's a great baseline for anyone trying to do Commandramon in EX3. And congrats again to Justin on their finish there. Next up, we have Security Control. We're actually going to go over both of them that top just because they were different enough in my mind. And since Security Control is such an open format, or like at least archetype, I wanted to kind of go over it. So this is Ethan's 12th place Security Control. It is yellow based. We have the Salmon rookies and then also the Aandroids and Magna Aandroids for there, which you can use off the Hell Scythe. And this is just like a mismatch of pretty much every color. I think the only color we've got red, we've got yellow, we were only missing blue, I believe. Every other color is in this, and I guess white, right? So 5 out of 7 colors in this security control is really neat. It's running the Grande Soul. Shouts to Yoshi for always saying this is the best card that was released in BT10. But yeah, being able to play this, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then return one of your opponent's Digimon with suspend Digimon to the bottom of their owner's deck is great. And you can obviously hit this off security, which is the main focus for a deck like this, but you can also use it if you play the TK and Izzy here. So if you have a level 5 or higher, and you get to gain a memory, which means if you just pop down that big old Death Xmon, you get an extra memory for the rest of the game because of this TK. And same on the other side, your opponents, if they have a 5 or higher in play, get to gain a memory too. And also, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a yellow or green, suspend this to have one of your opponent's Digimon get -1k until the end of your opponent's turn. That's probably not impactful, but it can happen if you need it to. But yeah, just a really solid, and man, I'd hate to play against this list. It looks really frustrating to play sometimes, and being able to I don't know, like 4 Mimis out and then 2 Karis, and then just being able to play everything for free, and it just looks very, very ugly. We're also running the Seraphimon promo that also lets you get recovery +1 as long as you have a tamer, which is very easy for this deck, and then on deletion recovery as well, which is, again, pretty obnoxious. We're pretty much like an alternate form of Ophanimon at times. So anyways, that is the list there. Congrats to Ethan on their finish. And also looking at Justin's 16th place version. The biggest thing about this one is that it is a red base here, so it's using the Digimons as their Digi-Eggs, which means you're running the Guilmon promos that let you draw 1, which means that every time you find a Guilmon, you get to draw 2 afterwards, or actually, you get to draw 3. 1 for the devolution, and then when you push it up and you swing, Guilmon will draw a card, and the egg will draw a card, so that's 3 draws right there, which is quite nice. And having the red source means that Crimson Blaze is great, Gaia Force is great. You're playing Tai and Kari as well if you need any more red sources. And then again, like more or less like the standard yellow-purple package that we did see for the previous deck too. So nothing too different, but different enough I did want to mention it. Just instead of like going out with that kind of neat green stuff, you're going with the draw heavy and more destruction heavy, I'd say, red side for it though. Congrats to that's it. So congrats to Justin on their 16th place finish there. And to wrap up this video, we have Martin Lee's 13th place armor. I've done an interview with Martin before. He's been on this kind of deck for a while. He did win an Ultimate Cup previously. It might have been regionals. It's late. I can't remember right now. But he's doing very, very good things with armor stuff. And this is a small change to the list that I saw previously with him. The biggest changes I see are that the Chimeramons are the only level 5. He used to run the Shakuamons and decided to use the Chimeramons exclusively. I think he was playing 2 copies of Jesmon GX. I think he's down to 1. And the Gigadeath as well instead of the Megadeath for. I think he ran 4 Megadeaths. I think he's down to 2 and 2 now. Being able to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, then place up to 10 of your opponent's suspended Digimon at the bottom of the deck in any order is pretty nice. And then also just security suspend and then it returns. So it's like a Grande Soul essentially. But since you're really, really easily getting that blue and green, kind of, so especially if you just play the Davis and Ken, you are in a very good spot. The ratio of rookies might be a little bit different, but I don't think they are. And yeah, it just looks like a really strong deck, and I really love armor. I really think Martin's a strong player on the list and on the archetype, and not surprising to see another top 16 finish from him there. So, anyways, that is going to be the video for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you made it to this far in the video and you haven't hit that like and subscribe button, please consider doing so. I would appreciate that too, and that will be it for me. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.
Damn it.